Hello and welcome back to A Quaint Life. If you don't already know, I am Roxana and I am the creator of the blog aquaintlife.com as well as this channel. I'm the face in the videos that you see. Today's video is going to be a lot different than what you're used to seeing, and if you're new here, welcome. And for everyone else, let me just explain. So I've been getting a lot of questions and a lot of requests for styles of videos, and some of those questions and suggestions aren't really something that I can do a whole video on. And I thought, why don't I try to connect a little bit more with you, because I love the comments, and thank you so much on that note. Thank you so much for the wonderful comments and emails that I get from you guys. I mean, it is so encouraging to get them, and so I really appreciate you taking the time to let me know when you like a video or what you think from the video. I feel so blessed by the group of people that this is starting to create, the community around these videos and around the blog that is happening, and it's pretty remarkable, all the people across the world that have reached out to me. So thank you. I thought, why not do a coffee and conversation style video for you, and maybe this way you can get to know me a little bit more and I can answer some of those questions and talk about some of those topics. So the first one was one that was sent to me a couple of months ago, and I've been kind of going back and forth in my mind. Is this something I can make a video on, and is this not? And I thought I'm just going to talk this way and answer this question, because without taking so long to get back to the person on this topic. So the question is, let me grab my notes here so I say everything right. Okay, so I got my notes here, and so the question is, how did I simplify my life when it comes to finances? How am I able to have so much free time? Or it appears that I have free time, right, on the videos. So, which can be very misleading, I must say. However, I will get into this. YouTube can be very misleading, as I said just a moment ago, because when I began this journey of simplifying my life, I love YouTube. I think it's a beautiful source for just inspiration and motivation and learning from each other. It's a wonderful world, and I'm really happy to be a part of that. There is some very beautiful content on simple and slow living. I hope you enjoy my videos on it, and it's showing glimpses of our lives living in those moments. And a lot of times I would think to myself, before I began living it myself, I would think, how does that person just have nothing to do all day? These people are just sitting around and being cozy, and we have this kind of idea that maybe they don't do anything else. Obviously they're filming, right? They're filming and we're watching, then they have to edit that, and then they put that online, and whether they get compensated for that or they do it for a hobby, we don't really think about those aspects. And we don't think about maybe they're on a day off and they're having this slow moment and they're filming on that day. We kind of see these images and we think, wow, like I wish I had that much more time, especially when I was working full-time, taking care of my family, my daughter, and our home and everything. And so I thought, man, this is wonderful. These people have all this free time. So that's very misleading. Yeah, so let's get into this question, because I think that it's very relevant, especially with everything being so expensive, with inflation and everything that is going on right now. And even before that, it's expensive to live. I mean, obviously we need food and gas and rent and whatever else that we need in our lives. And of course, I'm talking from my personal experience. I'm no way a financial advisor of any sort. This is just what I did. When my daughter was young, I was a stay-at-home mom for 8 years. When she was born, I couldn't leave her with anybody. I tried to go back to work on the weekends after I had her, and I had this idea that I would just be working full time after I had her, and I would cry in the bathroom at work on my breaks after I called my husband, and would ask him a ton of questions, and how's our baby, what's going on over there? And I felt like I just couldn't be away from her. And even though she was with her dad and she was perfectly fine, but I wanted to be there too. I needed to be with her. And so my whole life has really been just trying to get back to her once I did start working. And I understand that now. Of course, I came full circle back to that, because when I was a stay-at-home mom for those 8 years, it was very much, I was a young mom. I was 24 when I had my daughter. And I'm so grateful that I had her at that time in my life. She changed who I thought I was and who I am as a person, and she's just been a wonderful, wonderful gift to my life. In that time though, I was going to school part-time to get my degree so that I could get out into the workforce at some point. As like I said, I never had anticipated being a stay-at-home mom for 8 years, let alone ever. And it was wonderful. I'm so glad that I made that decision to do that. But when you're a young person starting out in life and you kind of are around maybe not the best people, not to insult anybody, but I was around a lot of girls that would kind of look down on me a little bit for just being home with my daughter, and they would make comments to me and really demean what I was doing. And it was always this question of, well, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do when you're done with this? Are you ever going to go back to work? Are you going to have a job? My confident self now, if somebody were to say that, I would laugh. Right? But when you're, 25, 27, 28, you're a young mom and you have your child every day, and I didn't really have somebody that was like, this is the place to be. There is nothing better. This is a beautiful experience to be a mother and to take care of your home. And now I totally feel that way, but I don't want to make it too much of a long story. But when I got out into the real world and we had some tragedy sort of hit our family, or I shouldn't say sort of, it did hit our family, and my husband passed away. My daughter was just about 9 years old at that time. And so it was just after I started working, really. I had been in the workforce for maybe 8 months, and he passed away. And at the same time, I was getting a promotion. And I just kind of had to go work through that. You have to work through that in life. And so I had to adjust everything in our life. How I was going to care for her and where she was going to be and how I was going to commute to my new job, and just figuring all of that out. So as we began that process and we sold our home that we lived in with my husband, and we moved to our hometown, or my hometown that I grew up in, where my parents live about a mile from my house now, and I bought a country style home that you'll see in the videos, and I started to look at life very differently than I had in a long time, because I had worked really hard to get me and my daughter to be able to purchase another home. And when I started to make a lot of money, or for me it was a lot of money, and we would go and we would spend our money and have all this fun and travel and all of those sorts of things, and I started to become this accumulator of things. I started this cycle where I wanted a bigger house, a nicer car, a better vacation, and I started to make goal boards because I was working in sales and real estate, as I still do. And when you're in that sort of environment, it is very much all about what's next, how much can we make money, let's do this type of mentality and way of thinking. And I started to get sucked into that, and I'm so grateful that even though I was working that job, I was able to sort of have my daughter with me still, so I kind of got the best of both worlds. But after, I got a few awards, and then I thought, this is it. This is what I've been working so hard for. It collects dust. I have them sitting right here, and it just wasn't, it didn't do it. It wasn't as wonderful as everybody had said it was, having this career and having this title. And it's not to say that you don't feel that way. Maybe you love your career, and it's not that I hated having a career, but it was never better than what I was doing before. It was never more fulfilling than taking care of my home and my daughter. So I knew I needed to find my way back to being able to do that even without a husband. So for a couple of years, I was working that full-time job to support me and my daughter. And then I started to look at how can I work as little as possible to maintain a good lifestyle. And that's where the budget comes in and where the answer to this question does. So I hope that wasn't too long of a story, but just letting you know who I am in my story and what's possible for you. Because I think that when we share our personal stories, it doesn't make it so impossible for you to maybe get out of whatever situation you're in. My very first tip for what I did, what worked for me, was to literally write down every single bill we had. And that is food, gas, insurance for the year, everything. And then I had another list of things that I didn't really need but wanted. Starbucks every day, our Netflix bill, whatever it is that we had. Even my Amazon Prime account, how much was that costing me yearly? I started to look at everything that I was spending. I started to watch things like Dave Ramsey, which I highly suggest to you if you've never budgeted or looked at your budget and you want to get better at it, you want to get better at your finances. He is an excellent source. I love his style. He's so frank and right to the point, and he really makes you go, okay, that's bad. I got to stop that. And it's just no nonsense. So I love that about him, and I recommend watching that. But it was that sort of thing. So just looking at everything. What am I spending every month that, number one, I could do without? And how can I make these bills maybe a little bit more affordable? And for the first time in my life, even as a stay-at-home mom, I didn't have a budget really. When I was a stay-at-home mom, when my daughter was younger, just because I just didn't think that way. Dave Ramsey was not in my life at that time. He should have been, but he was not. And we live in such a culture of consumerism, material items, right? We're always chasing that wonderful Amazon package, right? We want what that next thing is, that it's going to come into our house and we're going to be happy. And then of course there's something else that comes, and we're spending all of our money and all of our time trying to buy a nicer car or buy a nicer house or whatever it is that you're spending your funds on. And we have to kind of look at that, a deeper look at that of why do I want those things? What is that going to offer me when I have that? Is that actually going to make me better as a person? Is it going to make my life experience actually better? Or is it just accumulating items? And that's kind of where I started to look at my own self. So yeah, for the first time in my life, I started a budget, which is how much does it cost every single month, and what's coming in and what do I need to come in. And I am working at a pace where I'm in real estate and I run a blog, and obviously I'm on YouTube, and we have these businesses. With YouTube and the blog, that is something that I incorporate with our life every day, which is wonderful. But with real estate, I'm selling a house here or there, whereas before I had a minimum of what I wanted to sell every single month and every single year, and I had this whole projection. And now I just really have simplified all of that, and we're not lacking anything. I thought when I started to cut things away, I thought, oh my gosh, like, what are we gonna do? And life has been amplified from that. And so that's where a lot of the content's coming from on this channel, because I'm sharing my experience and the beauty and the joys that I have found through such a lifestyle. My second tip is the same thing as far as financing goes, is to also look at your mortgage payment or your rent payment, and as well as your car payment, to see if maybe you could trade in that car to get something cheaper, or possibly sell your house and move a little bit. I know that probably is like, I'm not gonna move, but take it from me, I am somebody that sold our house and decided to find something cheaper in another area. It was an hour away from our old house, and literally the house prices are half the price, half the cost of homes an hour from here. And our city is of course a lot smaller. Even though it was just an hour away, it did make a huge difference. So maybe looking at if you can get cheaper rent somewhere, or possibly sell your house and move, depending on the logistics of your job. If that's something that you can do, it's worth looking into. And remember that no matter if you downsize your home or move an hour away or a few hours away, you can live this lifestyle anywhere. It's not about the house you have, the style of home or car that you drive. It is about the way that you live in your home that is going to make the biggest impact to really get down to the core of appreciating the small things in life. It's not about any sort of material item that you have. So just always keep that in mind when you think, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore, or I'm taking this away. You're actually adding value to your life, because now we're not so focused on stuff and what we own or whatever, right? We're looking at, what am I enjoying? What joy am I bringing to my day each and every day? What can I do with my extra time, if you can make extra time for yourself by budgeting? Those sort of elements. That's what we're looking for, more quality. And my third and final tip regarding finances and simplifying your life is to redefine what entertainment looks like for you. And what I mean by that is, we constantly think of going out to eat as people. We're constantly thinking, I'm going to grab a coffee, I'm going to go and get my nails done. And we just think these are needs, and they're not. They're definitely extras. When I was growing up, living in my father's house, we went out to eat only on birthdays. It was a special occasion. And these days, everything's so quick and on the go that we're going to fast food constantly or restaurants constantly, and we just figure that since we have to eat somewhere, right? But it's so much more expensive to eat anywhere these days. Even fast food is super expensive. It's actually healthier to eat at home, but you don't have to have a boring dinner at home. You could make things very special, very elegant and beautiful at home. You could eat outside or eat inside, or dress the table up, or use your good china and make something special at home. It doesn't mean just because you're eating at home that it's going to be this horrible experience. In fact, I find that our meals at home are much more delicious. They taste better, and they're healthier, and I can create such a beautiful environment and an atmosphere, and I hope that that has been reflected in the videos, because I want to share that and show you that it's not about having to go this place or that place. It really is how you're living in your home and what you're doing, and redefining, a movie night. Instead of going out to the movies, maybe watching a movie just in the living room and making a movie atmosphere. Home has become such a place where there's so much joy here and so much enjoyment that we can have these fun times and special moments and great memories, and we don't necessarily have to go out constantly to do so. And I really find that we're just kind of dialing back the clock by doing that, because when I was coming up, and even my mom when she was growing up, I asked her, did your parents take you to all these places? And no, the answer is absolutely not. It's only in our modern day, in the last 30 years or so, that people just feel the need to be outside of their homes more so than in. And I think that when we simplify our lives and slow down a little bit, we find that we want to be home more, and we appreciate the little things about life every single day. And it just kind of naturally flows to where you are saving money just because you're living in a different mindset, a different perspective. So I hope these tips help you today. I don't know that they did, but they're certainly ones that have helped me, and that is what I did. I looked at our budget, I moved us, I changed our car out, I swapped some things around, and I do have a lot more free time. I know on these videos, a lot of times it seems like I'm only home. Of course, I do have these jobs to do, but my first and number one priority is to be a homemaker and to be my daughter's mother, to be present for her each and every single day. And I had to just do that for us and to get back where I started, right? Like, I was that homemaker for 8 years, and I didn't even realize how that was my calling. Whatever your calling is, if you're just trying to simplify or slow down a little bit in life, I hope these tips helped you. I'd love to hear from you. Leave whatever suggestions or comments or questions that you have below. And thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope that you enjoy these new videos. I don't know how often I'll put them out because I don't know how popular they'll be. So this is the first one of a coffee and conversation. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.